Sheikh Hasina, Bangladesh's controversial prime minister, has resigned and left the country amid severe unrest. The 76-year-old fled to India by helicopter on Monday as widespread student protests escalated into deadly nationwide turmoil. Her departure marks the end of her over 20-year tenure as prime minister. Although she is credited with leading economic growth in Bangladesh, Hasina has faced accusations of becoming increasingly autocratic in recent years. How did Sheikh Hasina come to power? Born into a Muslim family in East Bengal in 1947, Sheikh Hasina was deeply immersed in politics from an early age. Her father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was a key nationalist leader and Bangladesh's father of the nation, who led the country to independence from Pakistan in 1971 and became its first president. At that time, Hasina had already made a name for herself as a student leader at Dhaka University. In 1975, a military coup resulted in the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and most of his family, with Hasina and her younger sister surviving as they were abroad. After years in exile in India, Hasina returned to Bangladesh in 1981 and took leadership of the Awami League. She collaborated with other political parties to organize pro-democracy protests during the military rule of General Ershad. This activism elevated her to national prominence. She first became prime minister in 1996 and was credited with negotiating a water-sharing agreement with India and a peace accord with tribal insurgents in the southeast. However, her tenure was marred by allegations of corruption and accusations of excessive deference to India. In 2001, she lost power to her former ally-turned-rival, Begum Khaleda Zia of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP. Both women, as heirs to political dynasties, have been dominant figures in Bangladeshi politics for over 3 decades, often clashing violently, leading to incidents such as bus bombings, disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. Hasina returned to power in 2009 under a caretaker government and has proven to be a resilient political figure. She has weathered numerous arrests, assassination attempts, including a 2004 attack that impaired her hearing, efforts to force her into exile, and multiple corruption accusations. What has she achieved? Under Sheikh Hasina, Bangladesh has transformed remarkably. Once among the world's poorest Muslim-majority nations, Bangladesh has seen significant economic success since her leadership began in 2009. It has become one of the fastest-growing economies in the region, even outpacing neighboring India. In the past decade, per capita income has tripled, and the World Bank estimates that over 25 million people have escaped poverty in the last 20 years. Much of this progress is driven by the garment industry, which represents the bulk of Bangladesh's exports and has seen rapid expansion, catering to markets in Europe, North America, and Asia. Hasina's government has utilized national funds, loans, and development aid to execute major infrastructure projects, including the notable $2.9 billion Padma Bridge across the Ganges. What is the controversy surrounding her? The recent protests have posed the most significant challenge for Sheikh Hasina since she assumed office. Following a contentious election in which her party secured its 4th consecutive parliamentary term, despite growing calls for her resignation, Hasina has remained resolute, denouncing the protesters as terrorists and urging support to suppress these terrorists with a firm hand. What started as a demand to eliminate quotas for civil service jobs escalated into a broader anti-government movement. Post-pandemic, Bangladesh faces severe economic difficulties, with soaring inflation, declining foreign exchange reserves, and a doubling of foreign debt since 2016. Critics attribute these issues to alleged mismanagement by Hasina's government, suggesting that the previous economic successes only benefited those close to the Awami League due to widespread corruption. They also argue that the country's progress has been achieved at the expense of democracy and human rights, citing repressive measures against political opponents, dissenters, and the media under Hasina's rule. The government and Sheikh Hasina deny these accusations. In recent months, numerous senior BNP leaders and thousands of their supporters have been arrested following anti-government demonstrations, a stark contrast to a leader who once championed multi-party democracy. Rights organizations have raised alarms over numerous alleged cases of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings by security forces since 2009. While Sheikh Hasina's government firmly rejects accusations of involvement in these abuses, it also imposes strict limitations on foreign journalists seeking to investigate these claims.